is that whoever fulfills his purpose of creation will be enriched and satisfied. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah the Exalted said, O son of Adam, devote yourself to my worship, and I will fill your chest with richness and remove your poverty. But if you do not, I will fill your hands with occupation and not remove your poverty. Narrated by At-Tirmidhi. It was also reported that Ka'ab al-Ahbar found these words written in the Torah. O son of Adam, I created you for my worship, so do not play. I apportioned your provision, so do not exhaust yourself. So how wrong is the one who becomes preoccupied with provision, something Allah guaranteed him, and neglect worship, which Allah has asked from him. Believers, not everyone who worships Allah tastes the sweetness of worship. Certain conditions must be met before a worshiper can experience this delight. One of them is worshiping willingly and lovingly. He must perform it with contentment, desire, and love. The Prophet ﷺ said, he has tasted sweetness of faith. He who is content with Allah as his Lord, with Islam as his religion, and with Muhammad ﷺ as his messenger, narrated by Muslim. And three things, whoever possesses them will taste the sweetness of Iman, that Allah and his messenger are more beloved to him than anyone else. Secondly, consistency and patience. The soul is naturally averse to discipline and leans towards comfort and laziness. But if one compels it towards worship persistently, Allah will grant him the sweetness of worship. One of the righteous said, I kept dragging myself to Allah while it was crying, until I dragged it while it was laughing. Another said, I struggled with prayer for 20 years, and I enjoyed it for 20 years. Ibn al-Qayyim commented, this sweetness and joy in worship only come after perseverance and hardship at first. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا, as Allah said. As for those who strive for us, we will surely guide them to our path. Indeed, Allah is with the doers of good. Number 3, avoiding excess in permissible things, such as food, drink, and speech and intimacy. The Prophet ﷺ said, no human overfilled a vessel worse than the stomach. It is sufficient for a son of Adam to eat a few mouthfuls to strengthen his back. But if he must, then a thought for food, a thought for drink, and a thought for air. Narrated by Ibn Majah. Thabit bin al-Qurra said, the body finds rest in little food, the soul finds peace in few sins, the heart finds ease in less worry, and the tongue finds comfort in little speech. Excess in lawful matters burdens the heart and fulfills it toward earthly concerns, toward worldly concerns, preventing it from rising towards heavenly ones. Number 4, feeling Allah's presence during worship. The Prophet ﷺ said regarding excellence, al-ihsan, to worship Allah as though you see him. And in divine hadith, that is Hadithul Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I am as my servant thinks of me. I am with him when he remembers me. If he remembers me to himself, I will remember him to myself. If he mentioned me in gathering, I mention him in better gathering. If he comes to me walking, I will come to him running. And my servant continues to draw near to me through voluntary acts until I love him. When I love him, I become his hearing, his sight, his hand, and his foot, narrated by Bukhari. This awareness and closeness to Allah is what brings true spiritual joy. Number 5, knowing that Allah values and multiplies worship. The Prophet ﷺ said, no one gives charity from good wealth, and Allah only accepts what is good, except that the most merciful takes it in his right hand, even if it is a date. It grows in the hands of the most merciful until he becomes bigger than a mountain. Just as one of you raises his young horse and camel. Number 6, being alone with Allah in seclusion. There is indescribable sweetness in seclusion with Almighty Allah. Someone was asked, do you feel lonely in seclusion? He replied, how can I, when he says, I am the companion of the one who remembers me? Another said, can anyone feel lonely with Allah? Ibrahim ibn al-Adham recited, I abandoned all creation for your love and made my children orphans to see you. If you tear me apart in your love, my heart will never yearn for anyone but you. Ibn Ghazwan was blamed for his seclusion, and he said, I found peace for my heart in the company of the one who holds my needs. Servant of Allah, there are worshippers of Allah who continue to humble themselves and draw near to him until the most gracious brings them to life in ocean of pure spiritual bliss, what we may rightly call the paradise of this world. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, said, indeed, in this world is a paradise. Whoever does not enter it will not enter the paradise of hereafter. It is narrated that the Prophet ﷺ once camped in a place and said, who will guard us tonight? A man from the Muhajirun and another from the Ansar volunteered. One of them prayed while the other lay down. A disbeliever shot an arrow to the one praying. He pulled it out and continued praying, even after being struck 3 times, until his companions woke up. When asked, why didn't he alert him earlier? He said, I was reciting a surah and did not want to interrupt it. Amir bin Abdul Qais wept at the thought of closing the sweetness of worship due to death. When asked why he wept, he said, not out of fear of death, but for missing the thirst of fasting during the hot days and standing in prayer during cold nights. Narrated by Bayhaqi. Ibn al-Qayyim narrated that one worshipper said, if the people of paradise enjoy what we feel, then truly they are in bliss. Another said, If kings and their sons knew what we experience, they would fight us for it with sword. One of the worshippers said, I entered the prayer and carry the burden of living it. My chest tightens knowing I must live. And rightly so, because when someone finds comfort in something, they never wish to part from it. O Muslim, just as there are ways to attain the sweetness of Iman and the sweetness of worship, there are also barriers that prevent one from testing the sweetness of worship. Among them, being consumed with the world. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever makes the world his concern, Allah will place poverty before his eyes, scatter his affairs, and he will get nothing of the world except what was written for him. Secondly, lack of sincerity in worship. Ibn Taymiyyah said, if you do not find sweetness and comfort in your deeds, doubt yourself, for Allah is the most appreciative. Ibn al-Qayyim explained, Allah must reward the dua with sweetness in the hearts, inner joy, and peace. If he doesn't find that, there is something wrong with his action. Falling into sin. One of the Israelite scholars said in his supplication, O Lord, I disobey you often, yet you do not punish me. It was said to him, how often I have punished you, and you did not realize. Did I not deprive you of the sweetness of intimate conversation with me? Wahab ibn Ward was asked, does a sinner taste the sweetness of worship? He replied, not even someone who intends to sin. A person might let gaze wander and be deprived of heart clarity, or utter false speech and be denied sincerity, or eat something doubtful and find his soul darkened. The more sins, the more the soul becomes desolate. And the most bitter life is one of loneliness and fear. The most delightful life is one of closeness and peace with Allah. So, O Allah, make us among those who draw near to you and taste the sweetness of your worship. Grant us delight and intimate supplication, the coolness of your pardon, and the beauty of your forgiveness. O near one, O Ansara, O most gracious, the most generous. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.